Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah Kodash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations unto the hopeful elect. Alright, this video will be entitled, Who has the Spirit of Prophecy in these last days? Okay, who has the spirit of prophecy? And this time, this age, this eon that we in right now. Okay, and Lord's will in this video be edifying. And a clear question for that is the men, who prophesying, speaking prophecy, and whose prophecy is coming to pass. Okay, who have the gift of Yahweh Shem Shai, the men of the Lord. Okay, and clearly, as you've been seeing, the apostles and the elders, and the brothers, so on down, we have been prophesying and preaching. Okay, and so far, our prophecies, of the Lord, are coming to pass. And it's not the word we speak, it's the word of the Lord. All right. Okay, such as the prophecy like the MOTB, downfall of the system of the wicked Esau Edom. Okay, and it's coming to pass. It is correct. 100% prophecies, because why? Is the spirit of the Lord speaking. We have that spirit of prophecy. Okay, so I'll start off with this precept here. This is Revelation 19 verse 10. It says, "And I fell at his feet to worship him," John the Revelator, "and he said unto me, See thou do it not. I am thy fellow servant, and of thy brethren that have the testimony of Yahweh Shai." Okay, worship power. Okay, this is the angel, and this is what we have, testimony of Yahweh Shai, through his Rakah Kodash, his spirit, to give us the understanding, okay, and to break down, these scriptures. All right. Okay, worship power, for the testimony of Yahweh Shai is the spirit of prophecy. Okay, so we have that testimony of Yahweh Shai, that evidence, okay, of prophecy. We could declare, and prophesy confidently, because we know that we have the spirit of truth, the spirit of prophecy. Okay, all right, and our word is not failing us. Okay, the word of Yahweh Shem Shai is not failing. Okay, this is the word testimony in the Slakia interlinear on the blue letter Bible here. It says, a testifying, the author is committed to the prophets of testifying concerning future events. What one testifies, testimony, and this is what we have. Okay, the evidence, we could declare these prophecies, it's happening because we have that spirit of prophecy, as I said, the testimony of Yahweh Shai. We following in Yahweh Shai's footsteps. Okay. Let's see the word testimony here. Testimony, it says, testimony is a formal spoken or written statement. Is a formal spoken or written statement given under oath, affirming that something is true, typically in a court of law. It also refers to a person declaration or belief or tangible evidence proving fact. And this is what the true prophets do. Okay, and have that spirit of prophecy. Okay, this is how we could talk, we could prove things, these scriptures, and what we see in, have that 100% truth. Okay, all right, and that proves that what it is making known who are the mouthpiece of the Lord. Okay, because these other camps, they talking also nonsense about you know, main prophecy, like what we preach about the MOTB, and what, you know, you ain't seen it, it didn't come to pass. Okay, you know, because, you know, the Ruach is not on them. All right, so I'm gonna get this. This is Hosea chapter 12 and verse 10. It says, I have also spoken by the prophets, and I have multiplied visions, and used similitudes, slakia, similitudes by the ministry of the prophets. Okay, you know, so the Lord telling you here is by the prophets he pushes word, his truth. Okay, you know, to warn the people, for them to take heed, you know, and, you know, the election who are sealed in their minds with this truth, you know, who are preserved for salvation, you know, will take heed to the prophets. You know, eventually everybody gonna have to accept, you know, that you know, who are the true prophets, because why? They word, their truth, what they speak, you know, it's not hypocrisy, it's not error. Okay, because, you know, it's not going out void. Okay, you know, this is what it is here. Okay, all right, you know, because the prophecy, it is coming to pass. We are the vision, we seeing it afar off, and, you know, it's taking place. Okay, that proves what, you know, that who are the prophets. Okay, um let's get this. This is Sirach chapter 39 and verse 1. It says, but he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High, and is occupied in the meditation thereof, in the scriptures, you know, okay, this word, it says thereof, will seek out the wisdom of the ancient. Okay, the men of old, the prophets of old, and be occupied in prophecies. This is where the many Lord in this time here are doing, occupied in prophecies. You know, we ain't seen these other camps doing that. You know, they're talking about heritage, law, all that is well and good, but, you know, you have to deal with the prophecies, you know, so you can know what you could do, you know, to be saved, to have salvation, to have stability. All right, and this is where the real true prophets, you know, are doing, and feeding the flock, the sheep. Okay, to make sure they're safe. All right, that they're healthy and secure. All right, it says verse 2, it says, he will keep the sayings of the renowned men, and where subtle parables are, he will be there also. He will seek out the secrets of grave sentences, and be conversant in dark parables. Okay, this is what the many Lord are doing. Okay, they have that spirit to, you know, the Lord put that spirit on them, on us, you know. They are talking about GMS, because we is the ones who, you know, who preaching prophecy, you know, to break down these scriptures, and to, you know, tell you, all right, warn you. Okay, you know, give you knowledge. All right, this is First John chapter 4 and verse 6. So like here, it says, we are of power. Okay, the prophets are of power, you know, ordained. All right, who, you know, appointed to the Lord. The Lord appointed his prophets. Okay, he that knoweth power heareth us. He that is not of power heareth not us. All right, you know. Okay, you know, because, you know, you have to have that spirit to receive what the prophets are saying. Okay, Lord have to open up your mind. All right, it says, hereby know we the spirit of truth and the spirit of error. Okay, and that's how we could speak 100% truth. We on the spirit of truth. Okay, with the correct prophecies, because we have that spirit of prophecy. Okay, okay, be accurate in this thing. All right, okay, and those who are of power will hear us. You know, and those even if who are not of power, you know, won't hear us, but, you know, they will see the prophecies, you know, taking place, you know, and they will be, you know, destroyed. All right, you know, are these coming prophecies, or the, you know, the prophets telling it. Okay, you know, and this is what it is. So the prophets coming with the correct knowledge and the correct understanding. Okay, not with no error. Okay, All right, we read between the lines. All right. Um, this is First Corinthians chapter 14 and verse 32. It says, "And the spirits of the prophets are subjected to the prophets." Okay, so that spirit of prophecy is subjected unto you if he's a prophet, if you're ordained, if the Lord have you to be his mouthpiece. You know, so you won't be wrong. You'll be accurate. You won't have the spirit of error. Okay, you know, okay, the prophecy that you speak will come to pass, because why? It's of the Lord. Okay, and this is what the true prophets are doing. Okay, all right. Okay, they will speak according to the word. Not of imagination. Of vain words. But of the word, of the scriptures. Okay, this is 2 Ezra 15 and verse 1. It says, "Behold, speaketh thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, okay, which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true." Okay, faithful and true. Alright, that's what it is here. This is what we speak in. Alright, because we have that understanding given to us. We have the testimony of Yahushua as we read earlier there. Okay. Okay, that's what it is. Verse 3 says, "Fear not the imaginations against thee. Let not the incredulity, the unbelief of them trouble thee that have speak against thee." All those who disbelieve on what we're seeing and, can't admit that what we're seeing are true, are going to be, disapproved. All these camps, these religions, Christianity, because it's going to come to pass. Okay. All their imaginations are vain. Okay, and they're gonna be destroyed. For all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. That's it at the end of the day. Okay. Alright, let me read this. This is Romans 3 verse 3. Okay. "For what if some did not believe? Shall their unbelief make the faith of power without effect?" It's not gonna be, it's gonna have effect. Okay, a powerful effect. Okay, the faith of power. Okay, these prophecies, what the prophets teaching. Alright. Okay, even though if you believe or you don't believe, so you better believe. The prophets have you better listen to the prophets. They have the spirit of prophecy. Verse 4 says, "Power forbid, yea, let power be true, and the prophets are with Yahweh Shem Yahushai. They are the men of the Lord." Alright, "But every man a liar, as it is written, that thou mightest be justified in thy sayings, and mightest overcome when thou art judged." Okay, so we have a more sure word, a steady word. We are stable in words we speak. Okay, this is 2 Peter 1 and verse 19. Alright, it says, "We have also a more sure word of prophecy," because we have that confidence. We have the Rakah Kodash, which is giving us the words to speak, and therefore we have that confidence because it's coming to pass. Okay, "Whereunto ye do well that ye take heed." Take heed, because you're gonna have that warning and you're gonna be sober. Alright, by the prophets who have the eye salve, to do what to do in times to come, in prophecies to come. Alright, it says, as unto a light that shineth in a dark place, until the day dawn. We making it clear, we shining. Okay. Alright, it's these prophecies are plain upon tables. Alright, to you, that's Habakkuk 2 verse 1. Alright, it says, "And the day star," from verse 2 it says, "And the day star arise in your hearts." That's Yahweh Shai. Okay, All right, you have faith in the Lord. All right, because of the prophets, of the prophecies, what the prophets teaching. Right, verse 20 says, knowing this first, that no prophecy of the scripture is of any private interpretation, no imagination. It's not just like a thought come up of your head. Is the understanding. Is the understanding. The Lord give the prophets, you know, the understanding of these scriptures. Okay, that's why it come to pass. Verse 21. For the prophecy came not in old time by the will of man, but holy men of power speak as they were moved by the Holy Spirit. Okay, and this is what it is. Okay, so the prophets have the spirit of truth. Okay, as we see GMS. Okay, we are the spirit of truth. All right. Okay, everything what we've been seeing is coming to pass. Okay, this man, Esau Edom, is being revealed and brought down. Okay, through us, the spirit of Yahweh Shai, his mouthpiece. All right, this is 2 Thessalonians 2 and verse 8. And then shall that wicked be revealed. He being revealed in this time by the prophets. Okay, and is being made known, manifest, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth. The prophets, Amos 3 verse 11. It's like Amos 3 verse 7. Okay, it says, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. So follow the true prophets, and you'll have safety in the time to come. You won't be confounded, or when the times creep up, it won't be unexpected, because why? You listen to the true prophets. Okay, yeah, you have received, you will expect the unexpected. Okay, so Lord's willing, this video was edifying unto the elect. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha Kodash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations unto the hopeful elect. Wa Abad Babal and Shalom.